Israel's protesters intensify pressure against plans to expand the Gaza war. Foreign criminals face deportation after sentencing under new plans. Ukrainian European allies say peace talks must include Kiev. And more than 400 migrants have been brought to the shores of Dover yesterday morning. I am, as always, John, Sean, or Yahya.
I'm Chris.
And this is Your Voice, Your Nation. We are the blue-collar workers. And this sarcastic bastard has pissed me off already this morning.
How to trigger your mate off with the help of his fellow work colleagues by me being called the chiseled handsome one. I want to know what the fuck they got in their eyes, but there we go.
Fuck you. I know I'm fugly, but Jesus Christ, man, they don't have to rub my fucking face in it every day. When are you bringing the handsome one round, John? My exact response, fuck you, fuck your house, I hope it burns to the ground. And of course, he's in stitches as fucking usual.
Triggered before 9:30 in the morning.
I haven't even had a fucking coffee yet. I don't need this kind of shit.
Apart from that, lovely bit of laughter and comical relief.
Yeah, Chris has got his side.
On my side, first
Stop
migrants
crying,
detained under the new deal. Foreign criminals to be deported under the new rules. Benedict's law petition delivered to Downing Street by children. Prince Andrew annoyed by lack of public/royal future. Don't give a shit. And new Brexit rules set to be enforced for travellers.
The reality is Andrew needs to realise that he has to go into retirement. It's the only fucking thing he's got left. I don't think he understands the amount of damage he's done to the monarchy. I mean, there was a reason his mother threw him out the house. And the king brought him back in. And I mean, I get it. I mean, let's be fair about this. If I've murdered someone, Chris would at least give me a bed, to throw down. He might not want to be seen in public with me, but he'd make sure there's a roof over my head. But Andrew wants the whole 9 yards again. And you can't get that.
If you'd done that, I'd beat you to the inch of your life and then give you a place to stay.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, I get the brotherly thing, but the issue is he can't be seen in public, You're a pariah at that point, Andrew. You are actually a fucking pariah.
As soon as we're on that, I'll read the lovely article. Andrew Law, what's it? There we go. The title is Prince Andrew has no public future and lack of royal status annoys him, author claims. I don't give a shit.
It completely would. But to be fair, that he has to understand that he's not going to have one.
Andrew Lawrence's new book entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York comes as polls suggested Prince Andrew is the most unpopular royal in the country. Not surprised.
That's actually hard doing, mind you, because Princess Anne isn't exactly popular out here with us as it is.
The author of the new book, Prince Andrew, has called for more accountability from the royal family and more transparency after encountering what he claims was considerable. I can't bloody.
Considerable secrecy
while researching this book. Andrew Lawrence has spent 4 years working on entitled The Rise and Fall of the House in York, a book unauthorized by Prince Andrew, and submitted thousands of freedom of information requests to the government departments. However, he has revealed to Sky News that all of his applications for information about Prince Andrew and his official work were knocked back. The Royal Household and the Royal Archive are already exempt from FOI requests.
Freedom of information, there is a reason behind that, because remember, they are a medieval family. They were institutionalized in the medieval period. This is why we have a constitutional monarchy.
Speaking ahead of the book's publication, which has already attracted considerable attention because of the new, more lurid claims about the Duke, Mr. Lawrence told Sky News, clearly there are details that people have picked up on and ran with, and that's inevitable in these sort of books. But he added, if they're to earn our trust and support, they have to show that they are not hiding things, that they are behaving well. Mr. Lawrence said he is given a catalogue of reasons by the likes of the Foreign Office and Department of Business and Trade as to why they couldn't help with information about Prince Andrew's public work as a trade envoy in the 2000s. 2000s. Sky News was shown a selection of those response letters. They blame everything from social security reasons to costs, the man hours to the data protection to my questions being too broad, the author said.
You see, now, again, the author is a hack job. Let's be fair about this. That author is not a great author, Chris. So, pinch of salt, the author isn't a noble, upstanding author. Pure point one. But he has grievances that there should have been some transparency. So I want to hold into the fact that the writer isn't exactly well regarded.
He isn't well regarded, but by the sounds of it, he's doing this due diligence.
Yeah, no, of course, absolutely. So I mean, he's doing this for a hack job. He's doing this for a hack job to take Prince Andrew, and part of the royal family for money, because he is. It's unauthorised. It's unlegitimised. It hasn't been vetted by the Buckingham Palace. Therefore, it's a hack job. We can all see that for what it is.
But Mr. Lauren believes it is in the interest of the Windsor to be more open if they want to guarantee long-term backing from the public, and he hopes his book may trigger more calls for greater transparency.
That's not going to happen. As a constitutional monarchy, the royal family are directly legally protected. So they're probably the most protected family in Europe when we talk about their business, their social life, their private life. Remember, you can't just go and snap pictures of Princess Charlotte, one of the young children of the Crown Prince. You can't invade the local body because they're part of the actual working royal family. They have legal status and protection in a constitutional monarchy. So Andrew isn't, and that's why he's angry, because that invasion is possible. The writer could never have done that if he was working royal. That wouldn't have even been legal in Britain if he was working royal, but he's not. So we're starting to peel back the window. But remember, as I make very clear, the writer has a bit of a reputation of a hack job.
But by the sounds of it, he's doing his work.
Yeah, no, he is.
I'm sorry, Prince Andrew, but
you are friends with fucking Epstein and Chinese spies.
Care the fact that your lack of royal status annoys you. You've burnt that bridge by being a twat. So.
Oh, no, he's clearly a kiddie fiddler, Chris. He was clearly fucking around with that 17-year-old girl.
You've been a twat by doing stuff you shouldn't have been doing. So to be quite honest, you're getting off fucking lightly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And stepping out of the public image. You can't turn around and...
Your brother is shielding you from the criminal charges you would likely be facing in America if you were to ever answer questions to the US Congress. Because there's a congressional hearing into Epstein's behaviour right now. It's all big news in America. And Epstein's Island was a dirty, dirty fucking place. And what was going on there, we don't have the full details, but we know that the dirty shit was going on because of the effort they made to A, get rid of Epstein, B, get rid of the list, C, and the amount of energy that is being expended to stop this. Remember, Andrew refuses to go to America to answer any questions.
Because he knows he's fucked since he's stepped foot on that soil.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you've got to pay attention to the energy being used on governmental and political to obfuscate and hide much of the Epstein...
The amount of resistance they're putting into all this... Just says
you don't even need to listen to the conspiracies.
Yeah.
Just look at how the efforts they're making to avoid these conversations and avoid the dirt and slime and filth that's on them. Absolutely. And that gives me an indication that there is something to cover up. Even if you disregard everything that's being said currently as being too light or too much or whatever, what we're saying is because of the energy being used, it is clearly something that's being done.
Yeah, something they don't want being brought to the public attention.
Absolutely. And I'm absolutely certain that Donald Trump has dirty laundry in there. I'm absolutely certain of it. And on a tangent, this is a fundamental reason why I think Donald Trump is still supporting Israel when the president is genuinely a pretty decent bloke when it comes to politics and should have cut ties with them. He can't because the Israeli intelligence probably have dirty fucking laundry on him.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I personally think that what Prince Andrew has got himself into, there is no digging out. The British people do not want that man returning as the Duke of York. We do not want him back as a working royal. He is a, let's be honest, shit stain to this country. He was on Epstein's fucking island. There is no other conversational point I need to have. The man should have lost his working rights, even if he was there innocently, just for the stupidity of being there.
If you know something
dodgy going on the fucking island,
something not right is going on, you don't step foot on the place.
No, of course not. And he was
unless
close.
you're the one willing to expose it and
Yeah,
everyone else caught.
he was literally a close friend to Epstein. People don't realise it. He was literally a close friend of Epstein and a Chinese fucking spy in his trade business. I'm like, what the fuck? The Duke of York is
treason, isn't it?
Not for them. That's the thing.
Any normal public person would have been had up for treason.
If a government, if a government official or someone with sensitive, because Prince Andrew doesn't have access to certain sensitive material. So if it was a government official, someone with sensitivity, yes, it would. Treason's very funny like that.
But it's running close to the line.
Too close, too close. For a royal to be that within range of those conversations. Do you know what I'm saying? Your immediate, your immediate reaction is that treason. That's the right kind of conversation. What the fuck is a prince doing with that kind of conversation he was starting?
Why are you dancing that close to the line? I have a feeling that's something to do with the Epstein Island. He thinks it's untouchable.
Of course, absolutely. And unfortunately, Epstein's shit. And I personally do believe that he was involved with that 17-year-old girl. I absolutely believe that he knew about the orgies and the parties.
Well, if he was on the island, he definitely knew something.
Yeah, of course. Because the estates are all clustered together with a few outed buildings. Epstein was doing dirty fucking shit. That was a close friend. Like, if I knew you had 6 or 7 underage girls on the island, I'd batter you. There would be fucking iron bars involved if I even thought that one of them kids were underage. But then the minute you'd find out, you'd have had them shipped off because they probably lied to you. Like, nah, don't. The Irishman's mad. Get rid of that kid.
You're not legal age. Fuck off.
Do you know what I'm saying? There's one thing to have a party with consenting adults. Absolutely. There's another thing to have underage girls at a party. And we know that Epstein had them. We fucking know it. That's why he was popped off. Anyway, Israel protests intensify pressure against plans to expand the Gazan war. Dun, dun, dun. Thousands of protesters have taken to the streets across Israel to oppose the government's plans to expand its military operation in Gaza. On Friday, Israeli Security Cabinet approved 5 principles to end the war that included taking security control over the Gaza Strip, with the Israeli military saying it was prepared to take control of Gaza City. Protesters, including family members of the 50 remaining hostages in Gaza, 20 of whom are still thought to be alive, fear that the plans put the lives of hostages at risk and urge the government to secure their release. Israel's leaders have rejected criticism of the plan, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying this will help free our hostages. A group representing families of the hostages said on X, expanding them further the fighting endangers the hostages and the soldiers. The people of Israel are not willing to risk them. One protester, Sheikh, rallying in Jerusalem on Saturday, told the BBC, "We want the war to end because our hostages are dying there and we need them to be home now. Whatever it takes to do, we need to do it. And if it needs to stop the war, we stop the war." Among the protesters in Jerusalem was a former soldier who told the BBC he is now refusing to serve. Max Krusert said he was a combat soldier at the beginning of the war and has since refused to return. There's over 350 of them. You know a country's in fucking trouble when its soldiers supporting a genocidal fucking state refuse to get involved.
That immediately says that we're in the wrong.
Oh, they're in enormous fucking problems going on with Israel. And
that says to me that the soldiers that were at the start of the war went in to just eliminate
Hamas, which was the goal.
The threat that they wanted to. But then after that, they refused to because they knew for a fact it was just targeting civilians.
Absolutely. There are going to be conscious objectors amongst the Jewish population. Not all of the Jewish population is evil. I have to stress this because people constantly say that this is a binary conversation. Yes, the Palestinian state has to exist. Yes, the Palestinians need their freedom. Yes, they need complete control over their own lives. I completely agree with that. But there are innocent Israelis who are protesting, standing up, and trying to defeat this right-wing nutcase that is Benjamin Netanyahu. He's going to prison after this. He absolutely knows that. That's why he's dragging out these conflicts as long as he can so he can keep his emergency powers so he doesn't have to face the court.
Basically, he's dragging it out to try and find himself an escape route.
Yeah, of course.
Which ain't going to be anywhere, because anywhere he goes, all of them is going to return him back.
Even America can't hold on to him with how a hot potato he is. continue to serve in Netanyahu's political war that endangers the hostages and starving innocent Palestinians in Gaza, said that one soldier. The Time of Israel reports that family members of hostages and soldiers at protests in the Tel Aviv area near the Israeli Defense Force headquarters called on their soldiers to refuse to serve in the expanded military operations to protect hostages. The mother of one of the hostages has called for a general strike in Israel, and the main opposition leader, 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞, said it would be a justified and worthy response. However, the country's main labour union will not back a strike, according to the Times of Israel, because many of the leaders in the unions, amongst the powerful people of Israel, are all on board the expansion. Okay, I'm not talking about the generic Israeli people. The generic Israeli people are not the same as the what's going on right now. The elite of Israel are the criminals. Let's call them what it is. During Saturday night's demonstration, Tel Aviv's Ayalon Highway was blocked by protesters who lit bonfires. The 3 suspects were arrested, and materials intended for setting fires on the main roads were seized, Israeli police said. Netanyahu has also faced strong opposition from the Army Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General 𝐬𝐻𝐫𝐬𝐻, who, according to Israeli media, has warned the Prime Minister that the full occupation of Gaza was tantamount to walking into a trap and would endanger the lives of hostages and soldiers alike. Polls suggest that most of the Israeli public favour a deal with Hamas for the release of the hostages and at the end of the war. Netanyahu has told Fox News earlier this weekend that Israel plans to occupy the entire Gaza Strip and eventually hand it over to Arab forces. We are not going to occupy Gaza. We are going to free the Gaza from Hamas, Netanyahu said on X on Friday. This will help free our hostages. We know the man's lying because he said in Hebrew that him and his cabinet want to occupy and build settlements.
How can he say it in one thing?
No, he's saying in English. In English, he's saying, "Oh no, we want to hand it over to Arab forces."
In English, he's saying, "Oh no, we're doing this," but then in Hebrew, he's saying something different. Does he not realise we all have translators that could do that?
It's just it's fucking mad. The Israeli government cannot be trusted in how it treats the Palestinian people or its own citizens, because it's clear, like the bulk of the Israeli population want the hostages back and the Gazans to stop being starved. They've said it. The fucking protesters. And Benjamin Netanyahu knows that he has angered most of his nation. And when the hostages die from this occupation, as I can almost guarantee it, they will, they'll either die because there's not enough food killed by Israeli soldiers, or they'll die by their desperation in Hamas, knowing that their end is coming. That is not going to fucking work. Okay? The Israeli hostages are going to die, and Benjamin Netanyahu knows they're going to die. He's cynically going to lead to their deaths so he can ethnically cleanse the Palestinian people. That is his goal.
I will not put it past him if some of them die in crossfire whilst getting them out, and he turns around and blames it on Hamas.
Of course he will, because it's all about his survival of his political career. And then he'll demand the expulsion of the Palestinians for the murder of the hostages. You know this is his part of his playbook. And he's been a part of this playbook for fucking years. A top UN official earlier this week warned that a complete military takeover of Gaza City would risk catastrophic consequences for Palestinian civilians and hostages. Up to 1 million Palestinians live in Gaza City in the north of Gaza Strip, which was the enclave's most populated city before the war. The UK, France, Canada and several other countries have condemned Israel's decision. Do you know how the BBC says several other countries, not mentioning that there's over 200 countries have condemned Israel?
Damn.
This is what pisses me off about the BBC, is how they tamper this down. Even though they mention UK, France and Canada, which are the big Western countries, and it's not several other countries, hundreds of countries have condemned Israel. Hundreds.
Hence the reason why he's trying to look for a backdoor out and has now realised, oh, hang on, a fair chunk of the world is against me.
It's not just the whole fucking sections. He can't go to South America. He can't go to Asia. Europe will Europe, he'll be lynched. Because he's dragging us into this.
I want to know whether Russia condemns him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he can't even go to Russia.
Russia's condemned. Russia, China, all the big powers.
Yeah,
India doesn't. Because Modi has a large Muslim population and wants to use the same methods. Modi is one of the few large world powers.
So we know where he's going to run off to now.
India couldn't protect him from Europe. Back with sanctions, India collapses. Remember, India is more vulnerable to European sanctions than Israel is.
Damn.
Because India, a full third of India's trade comes from Europe and the European nations. So if Europe gets on the bandwagon of destroying Israel, India has to back off trade-wise. Because Modi loses access to all of the successful trade that's benefiting his country, he's gone as a prime minister. He's nowhere near as secure.
Let's say he'll be lynched by his own people.
So I'm saying, the Indian public are neutral in the situation. Let's be fair about it. Mostly they're neutral. Modi, because he has a large Muslim population, wants to put them under the thumb and is using this as an axe grinding technique. So he has an agenda towards this. This is why he's friendly, and the Hinduvarian, which is a faction of very, very nationalistic Hindus in India, also want the same methodology or dream of the same methodology as the Zionists. The Palestinians are suffering far, far more horrifically, and the world is allowing it. And until Europe gets off its fucking arse and does something about this, Europe in general, and I mean, just recently, Ireland is about to sanction all the settlements in Israel, like huge, cut off all trade abilities and the ability to do business with settlements and destroy the settlement industry. And this is why America's senators are threatening to sanction them. That's news today. Fucking disgusting. Ireland needs to stand its ground and tell the Americans to fuck themselves and go steam full head regardless of the consequences.
So
my father's people need to stand on their
hang on. So Ireland's doing something that will literally stick the middle finger up to Israel, which is what's needed anyway. But
not legitimate normal Israeli trade, Chris. Not even that. Just the trade of settlements.
Just the trade of settlements.
Not even the rest. Like Israel, Ireland isn't doing it to all Israel. That would be fucking magnificent. Yeah. They're not. They're only doing it to the Israeli settlements, which are internationally recognised as being illegal. Even America and Britain recognise they're illegal. But because if they do it, the rest of Europe might follow, huge sections of fucking America's senators are thinking about trying to put sanctions on Ireland.
That's just stupid, because then a fair chunk of America are Irish.
Expat, diaspora, yeah. No, I know my father's people. They're just going to say fuck off. They're going to give America the middle.
I'm going to say I don't see why America's doing that, because a decent sized chunk of the settling population in America come from Ireland.
Absolutely, but the problem is senators are bought and paid for by AIPAC.
I don't know shit. They could go fuck off.
Yeah, you got to understand. AIPAC is the lobbying body of Israel, and they're bought and paid for.
And then the lobbyists need to be kicked the fuck out.
Oh, of course they do. Absolutely. America it's in America's best interest to get rid of AIPAC. Many people, many historians, many philosophers, many political analysts, which we're doing right now, have said it. For America's own best interest, AIPAC should die as an organisation. Because if it did, if a president had the balls to declare AIPAC a foreign governing body that is illegally occupied the Senate, it would clear an entire section of the Senate. Senators would lose their jobs because they'd lose the money. They'd lose access to being elected because they do deeply unpopular things on behalf of the Israeli lobbyists that the American people don't like, but they have the money to keep them in office. And very, very quickly, you would find that sensible senators would take over. It'd be a time of turmoil in America, absolutely.
But they would come out stronger for it because they've got rid of a pest.
Absolutely. Fucking nightmare pest. I don't know how America still has these lobbyists.
As you said, they got the money to keep them in power.
The BBC and other news organisations are not allowed by Israel to report to report independently from Gaza. At least 59 people were killed and 363 injured in the past 24 hours as a result of Israel's military operations, the health minister said, with 35 people killed whilst trying to get aid. Israel began its military offensive in Gaza after a Hamas-led attack on Israel's October. This didn't start in October 7th. Can everyone stop? Can all the media fucking groups please stop talking about it? This started in the Intifada back in the 1940s and 50s. This started with the illegal expulsion of millions of Palestinians from their homes back in the 40s and 50s. We cannot allow this narrative that this started on October 7th. It didn't. This conflict did not start in October 7th. This conflict's been going on longer than me and Chris and our parents have been alive. Your mum and dad weren't born in the 40s, were they?
My dad was.
Okay. My grandfather was, not my father. Jesus, we are a very different generation, me and you. Father was an old man when he got a picture of Mum.
He was born 1944.
Yeah.
No, 1942, sorry.
Just coming to the end of the year. But yeah, the reality is this. These conflicts, these bloody, brutal, evil conflicts started when Zionists expelled hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, before the digital age even started. Millions and millions of Palestinians live as refugees around the world in diaspora. They can't go home to their home country.
Well, I'm not surprised with what Israel's doing to it.
It's beyond disgusting. Beyond. Anyway, your side, my boy.
Yeah, start from my first topic. First migrants detained under new deal. First migrants detained under UK-French returns deal, Stammer confirms. The first lot, starting to get the process rolling. About time they started actually getting something correct.
To be fair, I'm dubious on whether it'll work. I'm on the fence. I'm not saying it won't. I'm saying I want to see the evidence of it actually working.
Yeah. Migrants who arrived in the UK after crossing the English Channel have been detained under the new one-in, one-out deal. With France, the Prime Minister has confirmed the first detainees came after people arrived in Dover on Wednesday, the first day the pilot scheme came into force. Oh my God, the actual day it came in, they actually started doing the job. That's a fucking first.
Yeah, but we need to see this.
Yeah, see how it pans out. The agreement announced by the Prime Minister is a joint press conference with French President Emmanuel Macron. Oh, I can never pronounce his name. Macron last month means that any adult migrant who crosses the channel will now be at risk of return if their claim for asylum is considered inadmissible. For each small boat migrant sent across the English Channel, an asylum seeker will be allowed to enter the UK from France under a legal route. UK officials aim to make referrals for returns to France within 3 days of a person's arrival by small boat, with French authorities will respond within 14 days.
If 2 weeks is the turnaround, that'll work.
Yeah. Adults and families in France are now able to express an interest in coming to UK through an online platform set up by the Home Office. That's a start. That now doing it online. That's fantastic. I know that's progressing.
It stops fucking people dying in the fucking channel.
That's a step towards, obviously, we reckon there should just be an embassy in France, to be honest.
Completely. Like we had in Calais before the end of Brexit.
They will have to meet they have to meet suitable criteria, standard visa application process, and security checks. Posting to social media, the Prime Minister said, "We have detained the first illegal migrants under our new deal before returning them to France. No gimmicks, just results. If you break the law to enter the country, you'll face being sent back. When I say I will stop at nothing to secure our borders, I mean it." Well, time to put those words into actions, mate.
I'm not entirely convinced he will. I think this is a kiss and show, and a lot of right wing may consider that not enough. But if we are seeing a deterrent being for migrants, knowing that they will be deported if they illegally cross the border,
he needs to back what he's saying. He needs to back that with actually doing it to start off with, and also making sure France sticks to their side of the deal. We stick to theirs, they stick to theirs. We make sure everything's being processed correctly and everything else. Because not only then will it stop France making sure people cross the channel safely and asking for their life jackets back. But
I think that was overly emphasised because you've got to remember there is no neutral water.
I was going to say this is just obviously going by what they're reporting. But the fact that means there's a legal an option for them to turn around and do it legally without having to endanger their own lives in doing such stupid things, they're more likely going to take it. Because I can guarantee you France will turn around and go, okay, you want to apply for it, here you go. Here's the link. There's a free computer over there. You sit down.
Absolutely. Again, these methods, we had them post pre-Brexit.
Yeah.
These are the massive problems that we have with the right wing. The right wing don't want any entrance of any migrants. They've basically said that. They've said no migrants, none whatsoever. We don't care. Unfortunately, that's not going to work. Okay, that's just not going to work. You can't then start shoveling hundreds of thousands of people across the channel back to France without consequential actions. Yes, it would be legal, hypothetically speaking, if the Prime Minister was to put 200,000 illegal asylum seekers on a boat and ship them back to France, France has to take them. Would there be political shitstorms everywhere? Absolutely. These kind of treaties that Keir Starmer's doing, he's good at. He's starting to deal with the tackling the bear that is British politics.
Getting it under control, which is what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I should say the majority chunk of the UK population wants. Yeah.
I want them safe. I want them. I don't want migrants dying. I don't want them dying in Dover. That's a fucking big thing for me. I don't want kids, women, children dying because they're crossing the fucking channel, a dangerous part of the channel. That, I think, is a problem. I genuinely do have an empathical point of view of wanting them to be safe.
I just want
Chris wants it done lawfully. Yeah,
I want it done lawfully because, in fact, if you're trying to do it unlawfully, my immediate question is, what's in your background for doing it unlawfully?
Now, firstly, they didn't have an option.
Yeah.
Now we're giving them options. Remember, there was no migration method until you stepped foot on British soil. This is the first outlet we've created as a country. And yes, Keir Starmer deserves a bit of praise for it. As a centralist, I do. I think if this works, if this takes off, if this lowers the illegal boats, yes. If the French stop escorting them, I think they will be a danger of life. That's the fucking problem, Chris.
Yeah.
So you remember, there is no international waters between Britain and France.
We're now providing a proper, sensible route for you to come across. So stop doing the illegal shit. Stop endangering your own lives and putting everything else at risk. Anyway, because
shipping cargo shipments going through the channel as well.
Yeah, because bear in mind, on the last one, like I said, shipping containers had to stop and divert to let you through. What if, for whatever reason, that shipping container
no, they're legally required if they saw them.
Yeah.
But it's quite often they don't see them.
I was going to say, that's what I mean. Literally, they are huge ass boats. The shipping containers, I'm on about bloody massive.
They are
compared to a little dinghy. Yeah, I already know for a fact if that French ship wasn't there with its lights going, they would have been smushed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the fundamental reason why the French are giving these escorts. I know many right-wing people will be angry about my statement here, but you've got to understand that the safety of life, the French and the British have a legal obligation to protect these people.
Consider the fact we're now offering the legal route for them to come across, which means they'll come across on a proper boat, not some stupid dinghy. And the
criminal element is something we need to disattach from this.
Because of the fact we're now offering the legal route, most people go through the legal route having to pay thousands of whatever currency it is for the smugglers to try and get them across. Therefore, it's reducing the criminal importation of smugglers and everything else. It's leading to a good path. But Keir Starmer, you must keep it going, ramp it up, make sure the process is signed.
And increase the amount of border force troops and ships we have. That's a fucking... We have only 4 cutters. Every other press release, I see Border Force Typhoon, which is like the most modern, the modern of the 4 of them. Otherwise, we don't see any other ship. The problem being is we need more border patrol vehicles.
You need to make sure this process is clean. Make sure it's cleaned up. There's no frigging delays or anything else. Make sure it's done smoothly, consistently, and then you won't have this issue. Yeah. Then you could turn around and go, the illegal migrants coming over due to smuggling gang, we're on that. We sent in people to turn around and dismantle it.
Yeah. And I mean, fundamentally, that's what we need to do. We also need to start heavily prosecuting. We find out who's moving the money. That's a fucking point that is very rarely mentioned. Who is banking the money for this operation? Because this industry is worth millions. Let's look up what illegal migrants actually make. Because they always have an estimation about the fucking cost.
As he's doing that, the Home Office, I'll read a bit more of the article. The Home Office later released footage which showed some of those who were detained arriving at WesternJet Foyle in Dover and being medically assessed. Video also showed men being transferred to the Matson Processing Centre in Kent. The government is hoping the new scheme will turn the tide on the numbers of people arriving in the UK after crossing the Channel, amiding mounting tensions over the issue in the recent days. There have just been protests across UK opposing the use of hotels to house asylum seekers, with a number of people arrested after a protest outside a hotel in Canary Wharf in London on Sunday. The Home Office said detentions began for those who arrived on Wednesday afternoon and they will be held in immigration removal centres until they are returned to France. Home Secretary 𝐬𝐝𝐾 said yesterday, under the terms of this groundbreaking new treaty, the first group of people to cross the Channel were detained after they arrived at Western Jet Foil and will now be held in detention until they can be returned to France. This sends a message to every migrant currently thinking of paying organised crime gangs to go to the UK that they will be risking their lives and throwing away their money if they get into a small boat.
The smuggling boat migration generated 6.7 billion last year. And where is that fucking money being banked? That's my question. Who is these people banking, and why is their income not tracked? Because my income is tracked here in Britain. How the fuck are these people's income not tracked? Why is there not a better banking regulation in the European banking systems?
And with the new Brit card, they're planning on enforcing.
Nah, I'm not fucking keen about that.
Yes, he has to turn around and actually, I don't think it's even going to make it through the parliamentary process to make it legal, to be honest.
You don't think so?
No. Because if he turns around and does that, it's going to be a fucking revolution.
There are people who definitely have a problem with it. And again, the current online safety bill, that's fucking falling apart.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister is having problems with that as we speak.
Yeah, so if the online current safety bill is falling apart and he tries to bring in this Brit card, which actually ties in with the Digital Online Safety Act, and that's falling apart, where do you think that's going to go? Down the toilet with it.
To be fair,
you don't know this is in reference to something that Tony Blair tried to do when he was in power?
Oh, yeah, of course. Labour have been trying to do this for years.
Yeah, and it got rejected then.
It's going to fall apart now. Yeah. It really is.
I've already seen loads of things on Facebook, all the social media outlets, people getting pissed off with this Brit card.
Yeah, the idea, not just the Brit card, but the idea that...
It's not so that they said...
The Online Safety fucking Act is also kicked off. That's the first part of it. I think that's going to fall.
Yeah, really the Online Safety Act was supposed to be the groundwork to launch in the Brit card, but that is starting to fall apart. It's just
moving
ridiculous.
On from your point, foreign criminals face deportation after sentencing under new plans. Foreign criminals will face immediate deportation after receiving custodial sentences under new plans announced by the Justice Secretary.
I've got something to think as well.
Under the proposal for England and Wales, those who are given fixed-term sentences could be deported straight away and will be barred from re-entering the UK.
Who you got that from?
BBC.
Oh, I got mine from The Guardian.
You're actually reading something civil for a change?
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised.
I'm actually starting to look at the more civil stuff than actually anything else.
Jesus Christ.
Well, most of this is from The Guardian or The Independent this time.
Under the proposal for England, I read that. The decision over whether they go on to serve their sentence abroad will be up to the country they are sent to. The Minister of Justice, MOG, told the BBC, in theory, this means that some criminals may be able to walk free upon arriving in their destination country. Foreign offenders make up around 12% of the prison population, with prison places costing $54,000 a year on average, according to the government. Build more fucking prisons. How many times have I said
you see that?
It says the new powers would save money for the British taxpayers and protect the public. Those serving life sentences, such as terrorists and murderers, will serve their full prison sentence in the UK before being considered for deportation, it said. Once a custodial sentence is handed down by a judge, the decision over whether someone will be deported will fall to a prison governor, the MOG said. Authorities would retain the power to keep criminals in custody if, for example, they were planning further crimes against the UK's interests or were seen as a danger to national security. The MOG told the BBC that its definition of foreign nationals is based on the conditions laid out in the National Immigration and Asylum Act. Yeah. If passed, the new powers could be applied to those already in prison, meaning the government could begin deportation immediately. As of January 2024, there were 10,400 foreign nationals in the prison system. Justice Secretary 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐸𝐻 Mamoon said the foreign criminals would be sent packing if they abuse our hospitality and break our laws.
I've got a similar article from The Independent. Foreign criminals convicted in the UK to be deported immediately under new plans.
Yeah.
Most foreign criminals convicted by a UK court will be deported immediately instead of 30% of the way through their prison sentence under new plans, announced government. The Justice Secretary Shabrin Mohammed Moody, should I say, has proposed a change in legislation that will give the government the power to deport most foreign prisoners as soon as they're convicted and incarcerated. However, foreign terrorists, murderers, and other serious offenders will have to be given in Justice Secretary Solomon has proposed a change in legislation that will give the government the power to deport most foreign prisoners as soon as they are convicted and incarcerated. However, foreign terrorists, murderers, and other serious offenders who have been given indeterminate sentences will continue to serve their time in the UK before they are considered for deportation. Prisoner governors will also retain the power to decide against deporting a foreign criminal who has been given a fixed term sentence, known as a determined sentence, if, for example, they consider the offender poses such a serious threat to the UK's interests or national security that they should remain behind bars in a British prison.
I absolutely agree with this act.
Yeah.
And I'm a liberal.
And it also, once they're deported, bans them from re-entering the UK.
I absolutely agree with this. But I also believe we need more prisons. We can't keep using these power-saving shaving positions. Yes, get rid of that 12%, but that 12% will be refilled by British and other criminals very quickly. Our prison system is breaking. We need to build infrastructural points of view. Remember, the Tories closed so many of our minor prisons, our small prisons. We need to rebuild a bigger problem.
I don't know why they've done that.
Save money. Purely money. Boris Johnson was a fucking moron. The man should have been done for treason. I stand by that. Boris Johnson should have been charged for treason.
Why do you literally get rid of the smaller prisons when they could have been done for the smaller offences and the lesser time?
Oh yeah, completely.
Because obviously, I'm assuming the smaller ones would have been the lower security ones, and then the big hard-ass ones would have the higher security. That's me just thinking logically there.
Yeah.
That's just stupid. But definitely, this new legislation will actually, I'm hoping, will also deter foreign idiots from doing crimes as well.
Small prisons in England were closed primarily due to factors like cost-effectiveness, centralisation of the prison system, and a desire for a more effective rehabilitation programme. Bollocks! It was cost-cutting. Boris Johnson did it cost cut. That's the only fucking reason why it was done. The small prisons that were closed by Boris Johnson was probably one of the biggest crises in the prison system in the last, I don't know, 100 years?
More likely, yeah. Wasn't it running nice and smoothly beforehand?
No, there were problems, but if you had a colour system, it was amber level problems.
Yeah.
We have problems, but we're kind of handling it.
It was problems that we had control over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were problems, there was population issues, we had to deal with it, but it was something that we had to deal with. We could have moved the population into a larger prison and then closed the smaller ones, if that had been done. Yeah. It hadn't. They just closed them all, moved them into already the overcrowded large prisons that we have, and now we are at this critical fucking point. The Tories pushed the prison system into the red.
So even when we had the little small ones, we still needed more.
No. We had problems, but they were manageable at that time.
They were under control. Bit of a stretch, but we had it.
Yeah.
But now it's just broke.
This was fucking Boris Johnson, one of the most useless prime ministers since Neville fucking Chamberlain. I stand by that. Most useless prime minister since Neville fucking Chamberlain. Completely fucking useless. Just, yeah. The Foreign Criminal Act, I think that they're talking about, is actually a good thing. Deportations of criminals need to be done. If they abuse our hospitality and break our laws, they have no business being here. Absolutely. And I'm a liberal saying that. I want good, honest migrants, people who want to live here, want to earn here, want to live by the law, Chris, doing their business.
They want to become a part of the society they're joining.
I don't want foreign criminals. I'm very fucking liberal about that. I've got too many good, innocent people who want to live here.
Bear in mind, when we say join a part of society, that does not mean you follow our religion and everything else. There are some which will try and twist those words. I know that you assimilate into our society with your own beliefs, but as I've always said in every episode this comes in, whatever your beliefs are, it stays in the household.
And your churches,
obviously. And your household and your place that you go to worship. Outside of that, it stays with you, and you act accordingly within the public.
Absolutely. And that doesn't... Chris, would you say you're offended when you see women wearing hijab?
No.
because a normal Briton doesn't, does it? It's like, oh, their religious belief. It affects them. It doesn't directly affect you, does it?
No. I get pissed off when people use it to steal stuff.
Yeah, no, no, I completely agree with that. There are discrepantly disgusting thieves, but that is not.
But I could guarantee you, apart from that very small fraction, which are just criminal idiots, that actually wear the hijab, don't do it anyway.
Yeah, decent human beings.
And I'm going to be honest, I've very, very rarely seen them outside of their community groups. I think I'll see them travelling if they decide to go on holiday or whatnot, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, completely. The fact of it is that when we're talking about that, and like we see girls in miniskirts everywhere in Britain, and I don't necessarily think that's an appropriate thing, especially on young girls. Too many young girls wearing far too little clothing. It's dangerous.
All right. Skirts, fine, but they need to be appropriate attire for going out in public. If you decide to wear one that looks like a belt and showing half your ass, you do it in your own home. When you go out in public, you dress to be out in public.
It's absurd that we live in a society where the less you wear, the more liberal you are. That's bollocks.
The more of a target you become, I'm sorry.
It's endangering society. People like me and Chris see a young girl getting accosted like that, we're going to have to fucking intervene. And I don't want to do that. I'm middle-aged now. I don't want to smack this boy because he's got horny. All right, ladies, please do the rest of us decent men a favour and actually try to dress not conservative. I'm not saying don't dress conservative. Just don't fucking wear a belt as a skirt, for fuck's sake. And of course, if that makes us look old-fashioned conservative, kiss my ass. All right?
All we're saying is just dress to be in public.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not very. There's a wide variety of how that could be done within your own dress style, but dress to be in public.
Absolutely.
Not dress as if you're in the bedroom. Because I'm sorry, but and most people turn and say, "You're males, you should control yourself." Then you need to set the example.
Yeah, completely.
You don't want that unnecessary attention. Don't dress for that attention.
What we got on your side then? Since we've just come off the farm criminals.
Children delivered Benedict's law petition for alleged safeguards in school. All right. Before I get into the article, I did research it and everything else. So Benedict's law is a proposed legalisation in the UK aimed at enhancing safety for children with allergies in school, named after Benedict Belith. I don't know if I pronounced that name wrong.
Belitha, who tragically
died from allergic reaction at school.
I like that.
Yeah. Now, this is perfectly reasonable because obviously with the growing population, the amount of food we now have access to from different parts of the world and everything else, our bodies are not going to like it. Some people, allergy
awareness should be considered standard in the food industries of schools. There should be a regulation to it, and I don't think there is.
Yeah. Children have delivered a petition to Downing Street calling for Benedict's law to be implemented across the country to end the postcode lottery of allergy safeguards in schools. 5 primary school students took place cards and a letter to Whitehall in the name of Benedict Belitha. I can't pronounce his name, so I do apologise. 5 who died after accidentally exposed to cow's milk protein at Barnet Primary School between Stamford and Peterborough in December 2021.
Benedict Bethera.
Yeah. Benedict's 6-year-old sister, Etta, and friends joined other children affected by allergies to stand in front of number 10 and knock on the door to hand over the petition signed more than 13,000 people. It comes following last month's jury inquest into Benedict's death at Peterborough Town Hall, which found that the school did not follow all measures in place to prevent a fatal anaphylactic reaction, and that there were risks of contamination and delays in administrating an adrenaline pen. Benedict's mother, Helen Belith, 38, said, "I think it's important that today it is the children that are bringing this to Downing Street. It is their lives that we're talking about, and it feels like a really proud moment that we could bring them here and give them the opportunity to have their voices heard. We started the campaign almost 3 years ago. Benedict's law calls for greater safeguards and protection for children with allergies, specifically those to be an allergic policy in every school, allergen training for the school staff and spare allergy pens in every school. And it's something that we'd like to see implemented as soon as possible. I fully agree with this. In my line of work, I've already been allergen trained, so.
Beautiful young boy.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Just saw a picture of him, Chris.
But,
I don't have one that I'll be able to offer you, but if you look up Benedict Bithris, this young boy should never have died from an allergy.
Benedict had asthma and a number of other allergies, including eggs, nuts, kiwi fruit, and milk. He did not win the lottery on that one, did he? His parents had worked in the school to put together an allergy action plan in case of a reaction. The school was responsible for sorting out oat milk in the staff fridge, which was labelled with the child's name, and pouring it into Benedict's cup in a classroom before handing it directly to him. So they had the plan in place, and the school just did not.
Fucking how was that?
Follow it.
How was the person who didn't implement that not been fired? Jesus Christ!
I would have kept it in a separate fridge, to be quite honest. Or dedicated it top shelf instead of bottom shelf. There you go.
There was delays in administrating an adrenal pen for the boy as well.
An EpiPen.
Fucking Jesus. Fucking Jesus. That's one of those moments where the gross negligence of teachers is unfucking real. The death of any child in a school system here in the UK should be thoroughly investigated and treated as a criminal offence. And the fact that no one was charged.
That's just... But it's about time they actually put something in place.
Yeah, no, completely. I absolutely
them.
Agree with the Benedict law. I think it's a very just and noble thing to do. I think that's quite tragic when you think about the loss of a young innocent boy in a school system.
Which makes you think how many other people have had close calls.
Yeah. It's fucking dangerous. Fucking dangerous.
Especially with the amount of people that are gaining more allergies these days.
We make ourselves very clear.
Yeah.
Blue-collar workers absolutely support the Benedict law. We support its implication. We support the centralisation of anything that involves protecting children in schools. At any point, any child.
Especially when it comes to nutrition and everything else. Because you should be able to feel safe eating the food without having to worry that you could consume something that could have a
not just
fatal
reaction, but fatal reaction.
Yeah.
Just how are we doing this in 2024 that kids have to deliver a law? How has this system not been regulated? In a country like the UK, which regulates nearly everything, things we don't want fucking regulated, like my online voice, my ability to give that towards 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭. You know, what I don't want that regulated, but protecting fucking children, that's one of those moments you authoritarian cunts can do.
Everything you just said before, obviously, this being regulated, it's an act of free speech which you want to squish.
Oh, I know. Oh, completely. Oh, I'm well aware of it. And that's a fundamental reason why I fucking hate the online bill. And there's no way I'm going to apply to it. You can kiss my furry fucking Irish ass, mate.
I can understand the fact that they want to protect children, but having an underhanded tactic by looks of it to be an online surveillance thing was just fucking stupid.
Yeah. Ukraine's European allies say peace talks must include Kiev. European allies have rallied behind Ukraine in a renewed surge of support, insisting that any peace talks with Russia must include Kiev. A joint statement issued by the leaders of the UK, France, Italy, Germany, Poland, Finland and the European Commission came ahead of previous President Donald Trump's meeting with the Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin in Alaska on Friday. A White House official has said that Trump is willing to hold a trilateral meeting, which would also include Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, but for now it remains a Trump-Putin summit as an issue requested by the Russian leader. Zelensky has said that any agreement with Kiev will amount to dead decisions. Any agreement without Kiev will amount to dead decisions, as in he's just not going to even entertain it. Trump has previously suggested that he could start by meeting only with Putin, telling reporters he plans to start off with Russia. But the US president also said that he believes we have a shot at organising a trilateral meeting with both President Putin and Zelensky. Whether Putin would agree to this is unclear. He has refused several opportunities to hold direct talks, and the two leaders have not met face-to-face since Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine more than 3 years ago. Speaking on Friday, Trump also suggested that the three will be some swapping of territories in order for Moscow and Kiev to reach an agreement. to which Zelensky reacted strongly and utterly told him no. The man is not going to give up his country. Okay, he tantamount to surrendering part of his land. I wouldn't give up Scotland. I don't care. Hypothetically saying Norway invaded the Outer Hebrides, I'll be dragging this cunt north, shooting all the Swedes, Nords. Let's be fair, Norway wouldn't even bother these days. Invade? Why?
Honestly, they've got plenty of land just on themselves. Why would they need more?
Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the idea...
If anything, they'll just turn around, can we come on holiday to Scotland, please?
Yeah, I just gave a stupid example.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get is no self-respecting leader is going to give up his country's territory. He's just not. Okay, there's nothing the fucking Russians can say. America's going to have to get used to that idea, and Trump isn't going to be able to do a land swap. This is just not something that's going to happen. Europe will not back it. It could break NATO. This could lead to a break in NATO. If Trump pursues, oh, I'm demanding, the Europeans might just give him a middle finger. And then what the fuck is Trump going to do? America lives across the Atlantic. If the Europeans say no, Trump is fucked. That's what he doesn't understand. Russia can't win this conflict, long-term speaking, because even with China supporting them, the European Union will never allow Russia to win a land war. It's going to lead towards mass mobilization, mass militarization, and there will be an extenuation of this conflict. This conflict could drag on for years, decades. If Trump thinks that land will be exchanged, Europe will say no, Zelensky will say no, Trump will throw his hands in the air and leave. That is the result that's going to happen.
She won't be able to do much else, really.
Yeah, because the Europeans will just say no. And that's half of fucking NATO. What the fuck is he going to do? More than half of NATO, I think.
Yeah, it's fairly chunk of NATO. What are you on?
I think most of Europe is like 2/3 of NATO, barring Canada and Australia outside next to America.
Yeah.
Oh, and New Zealand. Such like. But you know what I'm saying? NATO itself, the bulk of it is in Europe. If they say no, America's fucked. That's what you've got to understand. America is fucked. If Europe says, if now I'm not guaranteeing that Europe will, but if Europe says no, America can't do fuck. America literally won't be able to do it. I'm going back across the Atlantic. Well, you were going to threaten that anyway. He was going to threaten that anyway. We will not reward Russia for what it has perpetrated, he said on Telegram. Any decision against us, any decision without Ukraine are also decisions against peace. The Russians still imposing the idea of exchanging Ukrainian territory for Ukrainian territory with consequences that guarantee nothing but more conversation position for Russia to resume the war, he added defiantly. CBS, the BBC US media partner, has reported that the White House is trying to sway European allies externally to accept an agreement that would include Russia taking the entire Donbass region in eastern Ukraine and keeping the Crimea Peninsula. European leaders in their statement released later on Saturday night extremely stressed that international borders must be not changed by force. Europe has said no.
I was going to say, that's literally Europe saying fuck off.
No. when America gets told no, remember, as good as the president is at some parts of the deal, he's going to be finding that this is not something he can win. He is not going to be able to bring peace to the Ukrainian conflict. I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to. Ukraine has the freedom of choice over its own destiny, they said, stressing that the nation would continue to support Ukraine diplomatically, militarily, and financially. Europe has said it will continue to diplomatically, financially, and militarily support Ukraine. And the European military building increase is coming. There's fuck all America can really say in this conversation. At the moment, she's just the supplier. If America cuts the supplies, the Europeans will pick up the slack. This is going to happen. And then America is not getting paid billions and billions for its weapons. The leaders also said that the diplomatic solution is critical not just to protect Ukraine, but also European security. It's not just Ukraine that is struggling to be part of the Alaska meeting. European allies are also worried about their lack of influence over the outcome of any agreement that Trump could reach with Putin. In a post on X on Saturday, French President Emmanuel Macron raised concerns about Russia and US exclusion and European involvement. Europeans will also necessarily be part of the solution as their own security is at stake, he said. On Sunday, Zelensky thanked his allies for their support. The end of the war must be fair, and I am grateful to everyone who stands with Ukraine and our people today for the sake of peace in Ukraine, which is defending the vital security interests of our European nations. You heard it just there. You heard it just there.
Europe saying no. What are you going to do, Trump?
Trump is probably going to throw his hands up in the air and walk off.
He's going to have a...
But the problem being is he's making billions in arms trades to Europe right now. He says that and throws his arms up. Europe will just sell their arms to the Ukraine. And Russia does not have an endless supply of men. It genuinely doesn't. At some point, Putin's people are going to revolt against this conflict. When they do, the Russians are going to feel, the Russian president is going to feel the pinch from his own side. Would he be able to keep hold of Crimea? Possibly. I think the loss of Crimea is probably realistic. But he's not getting Donbass. He's not getting mainland Ukraine. I don't give a fuck what he thinks he's getting. Russia is pipe dreaming if they think the Europeans will accept this. They won't. It's realistically a nightmare for them. Relatively speaking, that's me for now. I think Chris has still got one left over.
You've got one left. Strict post-Brexit rules for British tourists travelling to the EU set to come into force.
Jesus.
Yeah. Bear in mind, you'll find out anything. Oh, stupid thing. There we go. Britons travelling to Europe this autumn may need to prove they have medical insurance and a return ticket to the UK under the strict new border rules. Passengers from the UK will also need to have their fingerprints and faces scanned to cross the EU border under the new system for arrivals in the European Union, which comes into force on the 12th of October. Non-EU citizens will see stamps in their passports replaced by biometric checks under the scheme that will be rolled out over 6 months and fully implemented by April 2026. Anyone who refuses to provide the biometric data will be declined entry into the EU. Dedicated booths will be installed at airports, ports and train stations for travellers to scan their fingerprints and have their photo taken. What difference is that for us, between us doing it the same to everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the new biometric requirements, UK travellers may be asked a series of questions to confirm details of their trip, including proof of the accommodation, whether they have sufficient funds, details of the medical insurance, and a proof of return or onward ticket. That's pretty standard, to be quite honest.
Yeah, standard travelling.
These questions would usually be asked at the automated kiosk, though anyone who responds no may be referred to a border officer for further checks. Since Brexit, EU border agents have already been able to ask these questions to British passport holders, but most only have probed travellers that they are unsure about. Travel industry bodies now believe that this will change once the new system launches in October. Luke Peterbridge, Director of Public Affairs at the travel trade body APTA, said, "More people are going to be asked these questions in future than were in the past because most EES checks, entry and exit system, will be done at a kiosk." Bloody adverts. Its primary function is distinguishing the border if you were to answer one of the questions in a way that you know wasn't aligned with the answer they were looking for. You'll be sent to a border guard. You won't necessarily be denied entry. Once people have been provided their biometric data, this record will be valid for 3 years. The rollout was originally planned for November 2023, but was delayed over concerns it could cause long queues. The UK government has warned travellers to be prepared to wait during busy times when the scheme starts.
That makes sense. Europe has a right to keep its national security just like Britain does.
I was going to say...
This doesn't seem to be newsworthy in my opinion. It sounds like the independence...
There's no difference when you go into America.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the biometric side of things, but you still have... I think that Canada might do, but when I went to Florida, I still had my photo taken.
Mm.
And I had to prove I had a return ticket, which I was like, yeah, there you go.
No. I don't think that is real newsworthy independence. No. I think you're overreacting there a little bit.
I think it's more of this is them saying, be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is understandable because of the fact, if you ain't told in advance, I'm sorry, most of us Brits get pissed off. Which is understandable.
Yeah, just a bit.
We do like to moan. I'm not going to lie. We are British.
Fucking moaning's an art form in this country. I fucking know it is. I think that pretty much rolls us up. I don't consider that to be a massive issue, to be honest.
As I said, I think it's more of a be aware, be prepared, so you don't face any issues when it starts getting into place.
Absolutely.
To be quite honest, that's perfectly understandable. Biometric, no, it's nothing new. They got biometric immigration policies already in place. Yeah. So
I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Anyway, as always, I'm John, Sean, or Yasha, depends on who you're asking.
I'm Chris. Hope you have a smashing day.
This is Your Voice, Your Nation here at Blue Collar Workers. Thank you for being here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.